Yesterday, I found a book called Much Ado About Nothing, which I found really exciting and fun. So I just want to show you. It is very interesting book. Who which it was written by. Here it is. William Shakespeare. Here's all the characters and the stories. It is a lot. It have two part and it is a lot, but I am very lazy to read, so I don't read it. But I'm gonna talk about it. Much Ado About Nothing, um, which is written by William Shakespeare. And if you don't know him, then I'm gonna talk a little about him. William Shakespeare was a famous writer and poet. He was born in 1564 in a small village of Stafford upon Devon in England. He loved literature, so he kind of fell in love with it. He wrote at least 37 plays and 154 sonnets, which is a type of poems. His play and work are so well written that they are still read centuries after they were originally penned. And you're wondering what we're reading here. Here, it is written by William Shakespeare, and this is also a play. The most famous one, which is Romeo and Juliet, which I think a lot of you have written, it is an amazing read, so you should read that. Now, Shakespeare is known for his rich and complex use of word. Shakespeare writing often features extremely descriptive language, which he also used as a vast amount of figurative language, such as puns, similes, metaphors, etc. And to make his writing more interesting and vibrant, Shakespeare plays are complex in that they often have more than one story or chain of event being carried out, which is short for subplots. And in some cases have humorous or surprising endings. With Shakespeare writing 37 plays and 154 sonnets, Shakespeare wrote. He used a lot of figurative language, but he also invented some new word of his own when normal word would convey the meaning he wanted. And in many cases, since the word based on existing word, people understood them without any explanations. Shakespeare words. Here's a fun fact about Shakespeare. Shakespeare invented over 1,700 words. His words were so catchy and intuitive that many of his new words are still widely used today. Because when he was writing play and poets and all, he just kind of he used word, but use most of the word nowadays. But of course, they are not they couldn't convey the meaning that he wanted. So he invented a word of his own. So he invented a word of his own, which includes 1,700 words. That's a lot. And some example of it would be addiction, assassin, cold-blooded, fashionable, manager, swagger, uncomfortable. Okay, you see, a lot of these words are used a lot nowadays, and you see, a lot of people would know that this word were all were were all invented by Shakespeare. Addiction, which means that they are kind of like addicted to something. You know what it is. Assassin is someone who are paid to kill people. Cold blooded, fashionable, manager, swagger, uncomfortable. Who know all these words were invented by Shakespeare. Not only that, but Shakespeare also invented many catchphrases that are still commonly used today too, like kill with kindness, brave new world, break the ice, forever and a day, crack of doom, heart of gold, love is blind. You see, a lot of these phrases are still commonly used today, like crack of doom, heart of gold, love is blind. You see, a lot of them are still used today. In fact, if you don't know what of this meaning, all these mean, you can go on Google and search. See, kill with kindness. It's kind of like, let's say somebody, let's let's say, the war started. Of course, we don't use guns, knife, and sword of that to kill. We use kindness to kill. And how do we kill them? Yeah, since they're in a war, all the soldiers there, all wanted to go home, just to go home to their family. That's all they wanted. But they have to go to war, and of course, kill with kindnesses. We treat them with kindnesses, treat them with all the things that their family would do for them. So all those soldier was kind of like feeling they're so happy, so peaceful and all. They're treated with kindness. So they're afraid to go to work. They're afraid that if they go to work, they're gonna die. They're not gonna meet their family all again. So that's how we kill with kindnesses. After all we talking about Shakespeare, let's move on to the story. Much Ado About Nothing. So this is Much Ado About Nothing here. This story right down here. Much Ado About Nothing. It is a comedy written by William Shakespeare. This setting of the play is the island of Messina in Italy. And here there are a lot of character I can show you. Here they are. Uh yeah. Okay. Much Ado About Nothing take place right after the war. After war, during the war, the Prince of Aragon, which Don Pedro defeated his rebellious brother, Don John, who was now expected to submit to his brother Regent peaceably. Now, this story opens with the governor of the land, Lanetta, receiving the word that his friend Prince Don Pedro is planning to visit him as he returned from the war, bringing with him his brother and two heroes of the war, Claudio and Benedict. Since Shakespeare lived so long ago, his writing used some words that are not often used in the modern English. And in order to understand these unfamiliar words, it is important to be able to use context clues. Like, he hath done good service, lady, in these words. Now, you see hath. Hath are an unfamiliar word because we don't use them in language, modern English anymore, right? But in this example, have might be a new or unfamiliar. But in this, it is by looking at the surrounding word, we can guess that it means something like has or have. Not only have, but there are also more unfamiliar words like like marry, which is indeed or marriage. I faith, which is also indeed or truly. I I pray thee, which means I beg you, or by my troth, by my word. Signor, the Italian word for Mister. Okay, remember this. When reading text, read carefully and use context clue to figure out the meaning of new or unfamiliar words. We don't want to trap in it, right? I'm just gonna skip this book because I've already written it. Yeah, by the way, you can also stop to read it. Okay, back to the textbook. Let's move on to part two. Of Much Ado About Nothing. So, the author used dialogue, and which is Shakespeare used dialogue and events to reveal things about characters to move the plot of the story along. So this is basically the main concept, and there's part two about this story. That's part one. We're mainly just talking about Shakespeare's and all his creative work. But we need to understand all these words, all understand all the events and everything that's happening, right? Okay, so here. First, Governor. I think we should play this for tomorrow. Well, thank you for coming. Have a great day.